Good. All right, we're continuing to deal with vectors and parametric equations. We're going to go and focus on problem number 9. Right now, we have a couple of parametric equations, and we are going to change these two particular parametric equations into slope-intercept form. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple ways of doing this. All right, I'm going to highlight the first part right here in blue and this nice magenta color. Right now, I want you guys to understand the value of t that I'm going to plug into this equation will be the same value of t that I'm going to plug in to the other equation. So whatever number I plug in for t into both equations will be the same number. So you need to know that t is equal to t. That's the first step. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write x equals 2t plus 3 and y equals t minus 4. Step number 1 is I need you to solve for t. This is one way of doing it. You've got to solve for t. So right now, let's look at this right here. Here's my equal sign on this one. Here's my equal sign right here. So if we're solving for t, we've got to get t by itself. So what would be the first step to solve for t in this equation? Just take away 3 from both sides. That's the first step. Okay. The next thing you're going to do, I'm going to rewrite it. X minus 3 is simply x minus 3. Can't combine them, not like terms. 2 times t. And then you can divide this side by 2 and this side by 2. So right now, I'm going to say t equals x minus 3 over 2. So I'm going to leave it like this. Now, some students may write it like this. X over 2 minus 3 over 2. And some students might change it right here to a half of an x minus 3 over 2. All of these right here are correct. I'm just choosing to leave it like this. All right? So if you use this, that's fine. If you use this, that's also fine. So right now, the blue t is equal to this rational expression. Now we're going to solve for the other t. This one's a lot easier. All I got to do is simply what? Add a 4. Add 4. And so what is t going to equal in the other equation? So t equals y plus 4. Okay, so right here I'm going to write t is equal to y plus 4. So this one is equal to y plus 4. Now, you remember when I said we're going to set this t equal to this t? That's what I'm going to do right now. Here we go. The blue t is equal to x minus 3 over 2. That's what the blue t is equal to. And the magenta t is equal to y plus 4. And I am going to just simply place this over a 1. The reason why I'm placing this over a 1 is, in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find its cross products. You're not always going to have to find the cross products. This one you need to. What is 1 times x minus 3? That's just x minus 3 equals 2 times what? Y plus 4. So when you distribute the 2 to both numbers, you get 2y plus 8. Now, remember, right now, what are we trying to change everything to? We're trying to change everything to y equals mx plus b form. We're trying to change it to slope-intercept form. So at this point, what are we trying to solve for now? We need to solve for what letter? Solve for what? if we're going to solve for y, we're going to take away an a. Take away an a. So that's a 0. What are we left with on the left side? We're left with an x minus 11 equals 2y. So I'm going to rewrite it. 2y equals x minus 11. You got to be able to reorganize things to make it easier on your eyes. Okay? These are equivalent equations. Don't say that fast. Last step. Divide everything by 2. And you get y equals, now x divided by 2 is the same as a half of an x minus 11 over 2. What would the slope be in this one? The slope is a half. What's the y-intercept? Negative 11 halves. I know some of you like decimals, so negative 5.5. This would be your answer in slope-intercept form. So that is one way of doing it. Now I'm going to show you an alternate method of doing this. Okay? Maybe. Might be easier for you. We'll see if you guys like this other one. All right? So right now, let's go to what this actually means. Okay? This right here, this parametric equation can be rewritten as x1 plus t times a1. And y equals y1 plus t times a2. So how about this? Do we know our x1, y1? Do we know that? Looking at this. What do you think our x1 is going to be? A number that's not attached to a t. What is that? 3. So x1 is 3. What is y1? Negative 4. So everybody, in your journal, you can do, we're going to redo problem number 9. We're just going to do it a little bit differently. This is a point. The point that deals with this parametric equation is at a 3 and a negative 4. Now, do we have vector A? Do we know what A1 is? And we know what A2 is. What is A1? What's A1 in this one? 2. Very good. What is A2? 1. So that's a 1t. This is a 2t. Now, this is very important for you guys to know. This represents your horizontal component. This represents your vertical component. Do you guys know that slope is the change in the y over the change in the x? This is your change in x for the vector. This is your change in y for the vector. So what is our change in y over our change in x? 1 over 2. So just looking at the parametric equation, what have I already established in y equals mx plus b? What have I already figured out just by looking at my vector right here? I figured out my slope. It's what? It's 1 over 2. So right now I want to write y equals 1 over 2x plus b. All right, now here comes the cool part. The cool part is this. I have a value for x, and I have a value for y. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take this 3, see, I'm going to plug it in right here. I'm going to take this negative 4, I'm going to plug it in right here. Now, let's rewrite with everything plugged in. What is my y value? My y value is a negative 4 equals half of, what's my x value? 3 plus b. You see that? I plugged them in. So here we go. Right now we have a negative 4 equals, what is half of 3? Half of 3 is what? That's right. So I'm just going to put, if I wanted to, I could put 1.5, or you could put 3 over 2 plus b. And now watch. All I got to do to get rid of 1.5 is take away 1.5. And then I got to take away 1.5. And look. equal to that negative 11 over 2. And so my final answer, I still get a half of an x minus 11 over 2. So let me review this way one more time so you know exactly how we did it. All right? So you don't have to rewind. The first thing I did is I went up to my parametric equations. And the 3 right here represents my x1. And the negative 4 right here represents my y1. The 2 represents the vector that goes with x. And the 1 that you can't see in front of the t, but you know it's there because that's 1t, is the vector component for y. And then I realized, wait a second. Change in y over change in x is the slope that I had. So I took the half and I plugged it in for n into y equals mx plus b. And if you're watching this video, you should know what y equals mx plus b is because you're in pre-calc. And you learned y equals mx plus b when? In algebra 1. Sometimes in pre-algebra, right? And then, wait a second. How did I get the number 3? I took it here, took that, grabbed it, plugged it in right there. Then I grabbed this guy, plugged it in right there, and then what did we solve for? We solved for b, and that's right there. Pretty good, huh? Why don't you guys use this method to solve for the next one and see if you can do it. Good luck.